Hello and welcome to the WestBIC Enterprising Podcast. My name is Niamh Constantine and I'm your host for today. I'm delighted to have my colleague Seamus McCormack with us today, an expert in the field of social enterprise. Today we'll be speaking about social enterprises, their benefits and place in today's society. This podcast is taking place in the PwC Media Suite in Platform 94, which is based here in Merview Industrial Estate. To kick things off, Seamus, could you provide our listeners with a brief definition of a social enterprise in your own words?
Hello, Niamh. First of all, I'm delighted to be classed as an expert after all of the years being involved in enterprise and social enterprise. A social enterprise is an enterprise whose core objective is to achieve social, societal, or environmental impact rather than having a priority of making a profit. So it's a much more balanced enterprise in the sense that the priority is, as I said, achieving a broader objective than just profit.
Thank you. I'm sure our listeners appreciate the clarity. Now, how do social enterprises differ from traditional businesses or non-profit organisations?
Social enterprises are largely driven by the passion of the people involved who have decided that they want to use this mechanism not for their own personal gain, but for a wider societal benefit. So if you look at the types of social enterprises that are in the country, they're in Ireland, there was a survey conducted recently, and there are in excess of 4,300 social enterprises. That study was done for the OECD, and it affects, they're established in every aspect of society, and in every region. So you have organisations locally who would run the community centre, run the town hall, have the local radio. Then there's larger organisations that would be maybe in the care sector, and providing home care services. And then there's ones who have gone to an international level like Food Cloud, who distribute food both here in Ireland and also in other countries.
Okay. Understanding those distinctions is crucial, no doubt. Moving on, could you explain the different models of social enterprises and how they operate?
Basically, in Ireland, most of the social enterprises are companies limited by guarantee. So you have a number of directors, usually about 6 or 7, and they can come in with different expertise, depending on what the enterprise requires, or they're locally based, so they have knowledge of the area and they're able to deliver services. So an organisation like that is established, and on the basis of funding, some are in a position to employ management support and administrative support to help deliver the services that they want to deliver in their community.
Fascinating. Balancing social and financial objectives is pivotal for social enterprises. How do they navigate this?
Sometimes with great difficulty, because what people have to remember is that social enterprises, they also have to wash their face in terms of making more money and taking in more money than they give out. That can be extremely challenging, and they're constantly on the striving for grant support, etc. So it's very challenging managing some of the social enterprises, and yet the directors, who are voluntary, are obliged to perform the same functions as directors in a private enterprise who are paid for doing such roles. So the voluntary commitment is very high, it's very onerous, and the level of responsibility is the same legally as in any other company.
Absolutely. Finding that balance is key. Shifting gears a bit, what are the potential benefits of supporting or establishing a social enterprise for individuals and communities?
Well, for communities, there's a great benefit because, first of all, it involves participation, and if you're to have a successful social enterprise, you're going to have to work with an awful lot of organisations. And I think it would be the traditional MEHL approach, where in Irish society people came together to support activities, and social enterprise is able to encompass that, is also able to capture it, and it's putting a structure on it. So where you have gaps that oftentimes the state is not able to deliver, a social enterprise can deliver, and this was particularly obvious during the COVID crisis, where everybody came together, but there was greater flexibility shown by small community-based organisations who were able to respond out of hours and with greater speed and agility than, we say, traditional enterprises or the state sector, i.e. local authorities or government bodies, departments, etc.
Okay. Can you share an example of a social enterprise that has made a significant positive impact on a community or social issue?
Well, actually, given that there are 4,335 under the recent study, I think everybody, no matter where they are based, is influenced by or supported by social enterprise. For instance, their social enterprises in Ireland usually fall under I think it's 4 strands, and one of those is in childcare. A lot of the childcare facilities that are provided, they are social enterprises. They're community based. Others are responsible for community infrastructure, like your local community centre, which provides a base for which the community can get together and keep up the various activities. Everybody will know about, that all of the town halls, all of the arts facilities, all of the youth services and festivals, etc., that they are largely provided by social enterprises. Social enterprise is the structure which is behind them. And you have big players in the context of healthcare and delivering home care services. In this region, the likes of Roscommon Home Care Services is an extremely big organisation. And I suppose on a national level, then you have the likes of Food Cloud, which was established to basically take the product which was coming near the end of its shelf life from the bigger companies like Kellogg's, Coke, etc., and to distribute that. They have a distribution mechanism, one based in Galway, one in Cork, one in Dublin, and through other social enterprises like the Family Resource Centres and we say the likes of Clore ICH and Clamaris, food is distributed to those who are in need.
Okay, it's always inspiring to hear about real life examples. Now let's address challenges. What challenges do social enterprises commonly face, and how do they overcome these challenges?
I think that they're like a lot of other enterprises. They have the challenge of getting and retaining staff in an environment where there's almost full employment. There is a constant need for financial support until they get to the stage where their trading income is such that they can self-sustain, and it's ultimately very few who can self-sustain without some form of support, either direct grant support or labour support from the state. The other challenge that there is that there isn't an understanding oftentimes at local authority and regional government or national government level of what a social enterprise does, how it is structured. So there is a big education of people to understand that, there are people who are in the community who are willing to work outside of the norms, to deliver services to people, to have a passion about delivering services, and that they are prepared to do that at sort of any hour of the day because of their voluntary commitment. Another big issue for social enterprises to really get to be sustainable is the whole area of public procurement. And what's happening is that there's a lot of services being procured by government and its various state organisations, but sometimes or most times the package to be procured is way beyond the capacity of of smaller organisations to deliver. So there is some pressure now to encourage local authorities and state bodies to split up the services that they require so that social organisations are in a capacity, have the capacity to deliver. In the last 20 or so years, quite a number of the social enterprises that were community-based started to deliver initiatives in the energy sector. But as the requirements became more and more onerous, those organisations found that they were no longer in a position to be able to deliver those services. So there's actually very few organisations that are from the original suite of organisations that started to provide this service. There's very few of them left now that are purely social enterprise.
Okay, and speaking of support, how do you feel that the government can better support the growth and sustainability of social enterprises?
They're making genuine efforts to go from a situation where you had to apply almost on an annual basis for funding. They're now moving towards a 3 or 5 year model. There's still not enough of financial support available to keep pace with the demands of the employment market. This is particularly important in the healthcare sector because what you're finding is that there are people who are recruited, they are trained, and within a very short time they can move on to more lucrative and also more sustainable employment in the likes of the HSE, etc. So some social enterprises have effectively become revolving doors for employees. So it's hard for them to retain the staff because they can't pay them what is available in other sectors. And as I said, the whole issue of public procurement is very important to split the tenders so that they are achievable for a social enterprise. And social enterprises have the same pressures as any other enterprise, so it depends on the economic situation and whatever the various pressures are in the economy generally.
Okay, so government support is really crucial.
Yes.
Looking ahead, where do you see the future of social enterprises heading, and what trends do you anticipate in the coming years?
I expect that there will be a recognition of the important role that is being played by social enterprises. In Ireland, for instance, up until 2019, we didn't actually have a policy for social enterprises. They emerged, and those who were providing enterprise supports didn't see them falling within their remit. Those who were providing social supports didn't feel it was within their remit because there was, I suppose, a perceived discrepancy between social and enterprise and how you could marry both. By generating the first policy, the government also decided that, well, social enterprises are now going to fall under a particular department, and that department was for rural development. So now there's clarity as to where it fits in. And I would see that particularly because of the reputation which was gained during the COVID crisis, there will be more and more opportunities for social enterprise to progress. And in the context of an Interreg Europe project which I was doing, it was very interesting that visiting the likes of Sweden, which we perceive as having a very, very strong social structure, they are actually becoming more and more reliant on social enterprises to be able to deliver services, particularly in rural and depopulated areas, because they actually don't have the staff to go out and to provide the services in those areas, so they're actually contracting social enterprises to do so. There's a momentum behind the whole social enterprise sector, and it's been discussed at European level. There are strategies being put in place at European level, and there's a very strong recognition of its importance, and it has a future.
Okay, so exciting times ahead. Finally, in your opinion, what makes a successful social entrepreneur, and can anyone become one?
No, there's no magic bullet for the production of social entrepreneurs. It's basically coming together of people. Sometimes there are strong leaders in communities who want to respond to particular challenges, and it's then a case of, I suppose, being able to gather around you the skills at director level and the skills at employee level that can deliver. But the important thing is to have a passion, have a very, very clear objective, and to remember that at all times the delivery of the service and your community is more important than yourself.
Okay, we have a closing tradition on the WestBIC podcast where we finish off with a quick fire round. So we'll jump straight in. So Seamus, for you personally, work from home or office?
Work from home some of the time.
Okay. And Apple or Windows?
Windows.
Okay. Email or phone calls?
Absolutely phone calls.
I know Seamus, and it's definitely phone calls, I will agree. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Microsoft Teams or Zoom?
Zoom.
LinkedIn or Twitter?
LinkedIn.
Early bird or night owl?
I can do both.
Okay. And then finally, reading or podcasts?
Absolutely reading.
Okay. Thank you, Seamus, for sharing your expertise on social enterprises. It's been an enlightening conversation. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on the WestBIC podcast series. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions. You can subscribe to us via podcast apps on Apple iTunes or Google or Spotify, where you can also listen back to previous podcasts. A massive thank you to John in the PwC Media Suite in Platform 94. And I'd highly recommend, if anyone wants to use a media suite, to check it out. Their website is www.platform94.ie. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to be notified about future podcasts. Please feel free to get in touch with us on social media and let us know if you found this episode beneficial. You can find us at WestBIC on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. If you would like to hear more about our available supports, please get in touch via our website, www.westbic.ie. And of course, stay tuned for our next podcast episode.